So today, good morning. Today I want to talk. Hey, and welcome to episode 6 of Room 2740. I have no idea how many more times I'm going to be able to mention the episode, and am I going to be putting up numbers and what happens when I run out of fingers, but hey, we'll see how it goes. Today I want to talk about the business processes that go on behind the actual main stuff that we do here at Q Squared and the other organizations that I work with. I'm a big fan of strategy, a big fan of being able to vision and values and mission and all the rest of it. And I will talk about those in due course. But today I really want to talk about processes, because I know for those who are watching, especially small and medium-sized businesses, if you're a single owner or even from a small team, one of the issues that my wife and I get approached quite a lot is how do we handle our processes in the back office? And for us, those things are very important. The way we do our marketing, the way we do our finance, the way we approach our general admin, and even the work with our executive assistants, the way that they are, executive assistants, should I say, the way that they manage that, all those processes are really important. So look, just very openly, we use things like Xero for our accounting. We use Infusionsoft for our CRM. We use iMovie to be able to manage our video content. We're moving away from that as well. I use Audacity for my podcasts. What else do I use? We use Slack. I use Notion, and there's so many other tools I have. But besides all of that, what's the kind of processes that we have? So I'm going to talk you through a couple of them just to make sure. So one of the things we always made sure that we had in place was a lawyer. And whenever we go to work with any of the larger clients, we make sure that without anything being done, our lawyer has to look through it first. We have worked with a number of large corporates, international companies who always have their big contracts and the way that they work, but we also have ours as well. So for example, a lot of people don't realize that, for example, they're doing consultancy or coaching or, a related professional service like myself. Very often the larger organizations will want to keep the IP because they think because you're doing it on their behalf, it's their IP. And I say, no, when we're doing contracts, what we do is the content that we provide, or if I'm speaking and it's something that I do, IP remains with us. So how do we do that? We make sure that we have a lawyer behind us who helps us to write the contracts and make sure that system's in place, so that at no point in time do we ever get confused and do we have to go down that messy road of being able to have an argument around who actually controls the IP. Another big thing that we have, and it's so important for small businesses, is insurance. We have public liability, we have professional indemnity, and a number of other insurances to cover us. When we know that we are dealing with large companies, a lot of the large companies require you as a small business to have at least 5 million worth of cover anyway. So it's really important as a small business owner to know that you have those things in place. So when you think of your speaking or coaching, you may not necessarily think much of it. If something happens and somebody wants to take you to court or blames you for something that may happen because of what you said or the advice you've given, it's really important for you to be able to have that kind of insurance that covers you in the back. Another quick one I'll give, and by the way, I'm going to go into detail in these one by one in a future episode, but another one I think is around your accounting procedures. Always get a really good accountant. We've probably been through about 4 until we landed on the one that we really liked. And unfortunately, the ones that we had before, they just weren't managing it properly. Yes, they were good at bookkeeping, but they didn't mitigate our tax really well, didn't help us around our dividend structures and the way that we were going to finance the company properly. And so we went and after a really good recommendation, we found one. Now, I'm really loath, to be honest with you, to recommend accountants. I think it's important, if you are going to make that choice, to ask around in your network and get about 3 or 4 that you can choose from. Get really good testimonials of people who existingly work with existing or existing clients, and sometimes go and have a look at past ones as well. I think of our last accountants, they were recommended and they were doing really well, and then they dropped the ball, and then they started to mess around with fees and things weren't really transparent and they weren't clear. So when we decided to move and when we bounced, we went to one and made sure we were really, really clear about what does the fee structure look like? What does it cost for you to do your company returns, the tax returns, to speak to HMRC? All these things were incredibly important. And even when we're thinking of our day-to-day, when we're developing our programs, when we're thinking about our IP around those actual courses or the services that we provide, whether it's Madeline speaking or me coaching or Madeline hosting and coaching and me doing some facilitation or consulting, it's so important that we have a process. We have a booking form. Most people will know about this. We send that booking form through to individuals. We have a look at what that budget looks like, what kind of timing that they're looking for as well. in terms of the duration of the contract and what their expectations are. And because we have those things in place, it makes it so much easier for us to be able to then manage that process and reduce the amount of stress that we have in delivering. So we're not thinking too much about having to go and reinvent the wheel because we have processes in place. So I just touched on some ones there very lightly. I think I'm going to, in a future episode, I'm just trying to think about how I'll go into more detail. But it's so important for a small to medium-sized business, which I'm assuming is going to be the bigger recipient of this, is that you do have those processes behind how you actually run. Somebody should be able to come into your office realistically and either pick up a piece of paper from a book or be able to go online and be able to pick up and understand what those processes are. We're still working on fine-tuning them because obviously we're changing them all the time. But I really recommend for any small businesses to really get your processes down lock, on pat, and in order, because larger businesses do it all the time. Unfortunately, sometimes it can be a bit cumbersome and you don't want it to do that. But I really, really recommend that whether it's around your accounting, your operations, your HR, your finance, your marketing, whatever it is that you're doing, your product development, is really, really important to have a process that will help you to be able to manage your work and manage it effectively. I hope that has been helpful for you, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Room 2740. Until next time.